Everybody is suddenly saying AI agent instead of AI. Same buzzword energy, totally different machine. In 5 minutes, you will know exactly where a chatbot ends and an agent begins, and why that line is the most important idea in software right now. Start with plain generative AI. A large language model is, at its core, a function. Text in, text out. You send a prompt, it predicts the most likely next tokens, and it hands you an answer. One pass. And here is the key limitation. The model never touches the world. It cannot check whether its answer worked. If it writes broken code, it will happily tell you the code is correct because nothing ever came back to correct it. No feedback. That is not a bug. That is the design. Agentic AI wraps that same model in a loop. The loop has 4 beats. Perceive. Gather context, files, data, the current state of the world. Reason. Decide what to do next. Act. Call a tool, run a command, hit an API, edit a file. Observe. Read what actually happened, and feed it back in. Then the loop runs again. Researchers formalized this pattern in a 2023 paper called React, short for Reason plus Act, showing that interleaving reasoning steps with actions beats either one alone. The magic ingredient is feedback. For the first time, the model's output collides with reality, and reality answers back. A quick history check, because this did not appear overnight. 2022, chatbots go mainstream. Pure generation. 2023, models get function calling, the ability to emit a structured request that your code executes. That is the act step arriving. 2024, tool use gets reliable enough to chain, and frameworks race to wrap the loop. And by 2025, models are trained end-to-end to operate computers, browse, and run code across hundreds of steps. Each stage added one thing: contact with the world, then reliability, then endurance. The ideas were old. The models finally got good enough to survive the loop. Now, an important distinction most people miss. Anthropic's engineering guide splits agentic systems into 2 camps. Workflows, where the model and tools follow a code path you predefined, and agents, where the model dynamically directs its own process and decides which tools to use, in what order, at runtime. A workflow is a train on rails. An agent picks its own route. Neither is better. Rails are predictable and cheap. Autonomy handles the messy cases you could not script in advance. And that same guide gives blunt advice. Use the simplest thing that works. It helps to see autonomy as a dial, not a switch. At the low end, autocomplete and chatbots. Pure generation. In the middle, copilots. The model proposes, a human approves every step. Further right, agents that run for minutes, checking their own work. At the far end, systems that spawn other agents, and the human only reviews the result. Every notch to the right trades control for capability. Nothing mystical happens along the way. The model never changes. What changes is how much of the loop you hand over, and how much you trust the feedback to catch mistakes. Watch the difference on a real task. Fix a failing test. A chatbot gets one shot. It reads your snippet, guesses a fix, and it is done. Right or wrong, it never finds out. An agent runs the test suite, reads the actual failure, edits the file, runs the tests again, sees a new error, fixes that too, and repeats until everything is green. Same model inside. The agent is not smarter. It just gets to try, observe, and correct, which is exactly how a human engineer works. Now the honest part, the part the demos skip. The loop is also where agents fail. Every step burns tokens, so an agent is slower and more expensive than a single call. Anthropic's guide is blunt that this trade is the whole decision. And errors compound. A model that is 95% right per step sounds great, until you chain 20 steps and your odds of a clean run drop to about 36%. That is why real agent engineering is mostly guardrails. Small steps, verifiable checkpoints, tests as ground truth, and a human where the blast radius is big. Autonomy is earned, not declared. So here is the one-line version. Generative AI produces content. Agentic AI pursues a goal. And the loop is the difference. That loop also cuts both ways. Every extra step costs tokens and adds a new place to fail, and small errors compound. Which is why the future is not agents everywhere. It is knowing exactly when the loop earns its cost. If this made agents finally click, subscribe. Compile goes under the hood of one system like this every single day.